One of the most closely watched state Senate races is in the northern areas north of Milwaukee. You're heading up toward Washington, Ozaukee County, and you're looking at an area that was represented, or parts of it had been represented by Republican Dewey Strobel for a long time. His district is now completely changed thanks to fair maps. It's a much more evenly split district based on voting history. And Jodi Habush Sinykin joins us, the Democratic candidate for that seat. Jodi, good morning. How are you?
I'm well. Good morning, everyone.
So nice to have you here. I think we talked very early in your campaign about your decision to run, and so I wanted to hear just a bit more, refresh folks on your own personal story. What took you to make the step to make a run for state senate?
Well, thank you. And first of all, I feel honored to be in Nicole and Kate's presence. I've been following your activities and very admiring. So thank you for all you are doing. You are certainly making a difference. I'm hearing people from moms in the district, their engagement, and I feel really inspired. So thank you.
Sorry, Jodi, you can only be vice president of the fan club.
I hear you.
Somebody
That
else.
is so kind. Thank you.
Thank you. Very real. Very real. Where the reason I'm running, to remind listeners who may have not heard me before, is that as a longtime environmental attorney and policy expert, I've been working for decades really to try to affect change and progress for Wisconsin, but it's always been across the aisle in a bipartisan fashion. And that really all stopped when the gerrymander set in, and divisiveness and this hyper partisanship has set in, and it's really stopped Wisconsin on any progress in terms of our economy, our education. Certainly has set us back for women's reproductive health care, and that's really why I'm leaning in once again.
And we appreciate that very much. And by the way, if folks want to learn more beyond this interview, one of our freelance reporters, Bonnie Fuller, has a very extensive write-up on Jodi and on the race. So head over to upnorthnewswi.com and learn more about that. So Jodi, with the maps being redrawn and the district being like it is, and for other factors that we've covered in this segment before, in terms of suburban voters who are changing their voting habits over time because of recent events and recent people, maybe tell me your sense of whether you feel like folks are staying engaged all the way through, or is it time to sound the alarm yet about folks maybe getting complacent about things out there?
I'm not sensing complacency at all in the district. What I'm seeing is just an enormous solidarity and outpouring of support. We've had over 30 plus meet and greets around the district over the last months. And we had one last night in Grafton. We had one last week in Port Washington. We're having more and more all over. And what this is a chance to meet with folks and really hear what they're coming from and their concerns, and really mobilize them to allow them the information they need to get the word out and let folks that they know realize how important it is to vote for Wisconsin, to show up for Wisconsin. After these 13 years of a gerrymander, we finally have a chance for representation, and we need to use it.
Yeah, and I'm curious what you're hearing as you're out there in those meet and greets. I know something that's passionate to me and people in my area here up in Green Bay, but reproductive freedom is huge. I'm imagining you're hearing a lot of the same. Can you talk a little bit about that and your view on that?
Absolutely. That is, at the doors, which we're doing a lot of, that is always in the top 3 issues that I talk to. And it's not just from women. It's interesting. I get a lot of doors where the men introduce themselves as dads of daughters and or husbands of wives who've gone through miscarriages and the like. And I'm hearing the same message, as they are not understanding why politicians are trying to inject themselves into these personal healthcare decisions of women and making things more difficult and more dangerous for Wisconsin women. And we all experienced that for that 15-month time period where we were having to leave the state for necessary care, and no one is interested in that returning again. And that's where legislative change has to happen. We need to reestablish certainty.
Absolutely. And I know, okay, so this 8th Senate district, I know you ran last time, and I think even when it was unfair maps, you came just within a couple hundred votes. And now, since the maps have changed, I think it's looking like you should even have a better shot now, which is amazing. So tell us a little bit about your district. I know it's like the North Shore Milwaukee area. So I know it's Ozaukee County, a little bit of Waukesha County. Is there some Milwaukee County in there too?
Yeah, there sure is. We have 4 counties. So
Okay.
we have Milwaukee County communities on the North Shore side from Whitefish Bay up all the way, if you take it to Ozaukee County, to Port Washington. So Whitefish Bay all the way up to Port Washington, and then west from Ozaukee County into Menominee Falls, which is Waukesha County, as well as Washington County. We have the community of Germantown. So it is a large district, and you are correct. These maps are more fair. The Republicans still have an advantage, as we see under the Marquette poll, but we are working very hard to meet them. And we believe we are right there, 50-50 with them, notwithstanding their advantage. And it's certainly better than it was under the old maps, where there was about a 12-point Republican advantage.
Yeah, and well, we've seen, these Milwaukee suburbs historically have been more red, and we've seen them the last few cycles and even over the last decade get bluer and bluer every time, especially Ozaukee County. That's one of those counties that all the pundits are always talking about is going bluer and bluer. And I think it has to do with, well, the policies that really are more bipartisan that Democrats support, and also probably a lot of young families too. And I'm sure, what else are you hearing at the doors or at these meet and greets when you're talking to folks in the area?
Yeah, I'm very much hearing that people understand the opportunity, and there is a lot of frustration over the divisiveness and the extremism that we've seen in Wisconsin over the last 10 years. I mean, Republicans have had their chance. They've had 10 plus years where they have had an opportunity to make progress for Wisconsin. But what we've seen is that they have not been successful. Our UW system is having difficulties and falling back. Our schools are experiencing shortfalls and teacher shortages and not enough resources in the classroom, as well as certainly for women's reproductive health concerns. We are very at a point where we need certainty for our doctors and our families, because we're not getting doctors to stay here in Wisconsin. And I'm hearing from doctors in every field, cardiology, dermatology, orthopedics, not just OBGYN folks, that they are having an impossible time recruiting doctors to move to Wisconsin for the very reason that we don't have certainty in our healthcare access.
Yeah, it is crazy how much one thing can grow and affect others. And to your point, they've had 10 plus years to do whatever they thought they were going to do. And it's clearly, if they haven't done it so far. I wanted to touch base on the UW system. I know that's something that you're very passionate about as well, and funding to the UW system and the effects of where it stands today. Could you share a little bit about your thoughts and feelings on that?
Absolutely. Our UW system, and I'm not just talking about the 4-year colleges, the 2-year colleges and beyond, is really the lifeblood of Wisconsin's economy. All the data proves that. And we also know it, of course, intuitively. It is the best possible way to invest in our future, in our talent, in our young people. We hear always about this enormous return on investment for a UW degree, where people stay in Wisconsin, they contribute to our economy, they pay taxes, they have jobs, they raise their families here. We need them here. And there's enormous competition for talent around not just our region, but nationally. And the demographics are showing that Wisconsin is losing young people. Our population is declining and our population is aging. So it is important to keep a vital workforce here, talented folks, as well as to grow our economy. So we need to invest, just like a business. We need to make smart decisions to invest in our university system, not starve it, which is what has happened over the last 10 years. And we have seen the results of that.
Question on the economy here, because we just saw the new consumer price report came out, and inflation was at 2.4% for a 12-month period ending in September here. In other words, inflation continues to be tamed, getting milder and milder. Of course, you don't want to go backwards. 2.4% is practically a Goldilocks scenario here, but you still have people having trouble affording things like healthcare and childcare. And we've talked about about the childcare crisis here a lot, that there are ideas that would help make childcare and healthcare and other things more affordable. And as you said, this legislature has been given every opportunity to make life easier for families, and they just haven't done it.
Absolutely. My opponent is Dewey Strobel. He has voted 4 times against supporting childcare accounts, which is an essential program to keep childcare centers open and childcare providers available to working families in Wisconsin. This affects us both at the family level and, of course, at the employer level, and largely economically. We have a legislature like my opponent who hangs on to this $3 billion plus surplus and is not even releasing funds to take care of the PFAS remediation and testing, which is $125 million they're sitting on, $15 million to fund Western Wisconsin hospital system. And this is the one that really gets me, notwithstanding all his ads, how much he's praising the need for literacy and how he's a pro fan of literacy. He is, as vice chair of the Joint Finance Committee, is withholding $49 million of the $50 million approved by the legislature and the governor to get into the schools, literacy coaches and the like. So it's this type of obstructionism and divisiveness which is really hurting Wisconsin. And the result, to answer your question, is that it's keeping money back from people at the local level where they need it.
And we can't forget the other big one. When the opportunity came up to expand Medicaid coverage to postpartum care from 6 weeks to 12 months, it passed the Senate 32-1. He was the one vote against extending postpartum Medicaid coverage to women. Jodi Habush Sinykin, thank you so much. Great to meet you again, and good luck on the campaign trail. Kate Nicole, motherhoodforgood.com. So great again to see you as always. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you all.